Yeah, my name is Pat Adams. I'm Vinnie's friend from the old school, from the projects, and I'm really glad we're here tonight celebrating your 60th birthday, and I hope that you have a whole lot more. But I do have a couple of stories to tell you about Vinnie. Okay. How many of you are from the Bronx here? Just raise your hand. Let me hear you. From the Bronx? Okay. Okay. How many of you are from the projects? Raise your hand. Shout out loud if you're from the projects. Okay. Because a couple of the stories have to do with growing up in the Bronx in the projects. The first story I got has to do with Vinnie and I were walking. We were going to Parkchester. Let me set the scene. Let me set the scene so you get it. The year is 1973. Okay? 1973. So how old are we, Vinnie? 16, 15, 16 years old. And those of you who went through the Bronx, okay, or a Yankee fan, okay, the Bronx is very, it was a pretty, you said it was tough. I think that's putting it lightly, actually, what we went through. But in any event, Vinnie and I were walking, I think we were going to the movies, to the American, where you used to be the manager. I can tell you a story about that, too. But that one, you see, he knows the story I can tell about the Lowest American. He remember. I'm not going to tell that one. So I believe we were going to the movies, and we walked up Rosedale Avenue, right? We walked under Bruckner Boulevard. We cut across Bronxdale. So in 1973, in Bronxdale, who controlled Bronxdale in 1973? The Blacks played. And I think you remember the story now, don't you? So there's this park in the middle of Bronxdale housing projects. So we get to this park, and we look on the other side of the park, and there are about, I don't know, it felt like it was 100, but there was probably about a dozen black spades coming up on us. So I say, oh shit, Finn, look at this, we're in trouble. So they come up on us, and Vinnie says to the black spades, yo brother, I'm cool, I watch Soul Train. This is true. I'm not making this up. So I'm standing there. I'm like, I'm in shock. I'm like, what the, Vin. So I look at the black spades. The black spades are laughing. They're actually laughing. I turn around, I start laughing. I said, where the hell's Vinnie? Vinnie's down the block. Hauling ass. I have to tell you, the black spades looked at me, they just laughed and said, get out of here. I caught up to Vinnie. I said to Vin, what the hell was that? But it worked. It was a couple of times, let me tell you, when I wish I had that type of thinking. Okay, so what's the next story? Wow, I got a whole bunch of them. I could spend about a half an hour up here, didn't you know that? So, I'm not going to do... So, I'm not...
Don't do that one.
I'm going through them in my mind. Which ones can I say, which ones I can't say?
The lollipop in New Rochelle, something like that.
Yankee fans, the original Yankee stadiums closed down, I think in 1974. So the last game that was played at Yankee Stadium was not played by the Yankees. It was actually played by the New York Giants. And John Lyons over there, and I and Vinnie decided to go to see the last game at Giant Stadium. And we got tickets. Remember how we got yeah. And we go in, we watch the game, and it's actually, it could be 73, 74, I can't remember. But after the game, everybody runs on the field.
They were playing Miami.
They're playing Miami. I think it was the year that Miami went 16-0 too. I think it was. I think it was.
That's the year coming.
So we run on the field, and everybody's jumping up for the players' chin straps, right? He remembers now. He remembers. Okay. So Vinnie goes to Mercury Morris. Who knows who Mercury Morris is here? Right. He's a running back, Hall of Fame running back for the Miami Dolphins, right? And Vinnie jumps up to try to get his chin strap, and Mercury Morris goes boom. And Vinnie, it's pouring rain. Vinnie is right in the mud. So John and I, we're laughing our asses off. Vinnie is full of mud. Full of mud. So we get on a train, right? And John and I are sitting next to him. Then we actually had to like move over a little because he was so deluged with mud. It was just ridiculous. But that was a great day. That was a great day. But I have one more story. Oh, I got too many there. I got too many. You know. Listen, I'm not going to tell you that story, but I'm going to tell you this. I got a lot. Okay, you know me, right? And we've been through some tough times together. Growing up over there wasn't an easy thing, but we managed it, and we grew up, and you look around and you see that people love you, and you're successful. And that's what it's all about, And what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and that absolutely happened for you and I. I love you, Ben, like a brother. You know that, right? I love you.
That's true.
David.
John Lyons, come up to the podium.
Hi, everybody. I'm John Lyons, and I've been very, very, very long time, and I'm very honored to be doing this. I know Vinnie, she's over 30 years, so I had to actually take notes. I know it's going to come back to me.
Still handsome after all these years.
So we can start off with the projects, as you heard all tonight. That's where we had lived, and we hung out basically in a parking lot. That's where the guys would gather. And Vinnie would entertain a lot of us, a lot of the black guys and white guys. He would sit back on the hood of a car, and he found a way to kind of pass gas, and he would light it with a lighter, and the black guys would look. They would say, "Hey, come on over, Vinnie's going to blow a sideshow." And that's what kind of got everybody together. So Vinnie also was known to have quick hands. His mother, Julie, worked as she worked in a community center, and she had voter registration cards. So Vinnie would say to his mother, "Mom, I need $1.25, and she would go into her bag, and Vinnie would just take the voter registration cards and hand them out to us, and then we would go to all the X-rated movies. We had to be about 15, 16 years old. And we had gone one time to go see that movie. I don't know if he remembers. The movies back in the day were like $1.25, $1.50. and Vinny and I went down to go see a movie called Caligula, which just came out, which was a big deal. And he was driving, and when I went up to get 2 tickets, the woman said $21. And I remember looking behind me, I said, there's only 2 of us. And he came back, he didn't believe me, he still didn't give me the money for that one. Vinny was an entrepreneur. Him and his brother had an ice cream truck in the projects. They drove around with a guy named Pinhead, and that was pretty entertaining. His father worked at the Hunts Point Market, and his brother Richie used to go and pick him up around 11 o'clock. So Vinny and I would take a ride with him, and as we would go down to pick up his father, we would pass all the hookers. And the hookers would flash us going in, and then on the way back out, they would flash us again, but this time we had a whole bag full of string beans that we would just like flick out the window of the car, which was a pretty good let's see, but Vinny had made a good choice. He went to Alfred E. Smith High School. Pat and I had gone to Carter Hayes High School, and Vinny wound up benefiting, and he's very successful today in what he was doing. We also crossed over into a couple other things. My cousin Dominic had cleaners. And Vinny and I, his brother John and my cousin Dominic worked at the cleaners. John and Dominic had the cleaners. So Stardust Valet Cleaners. And what we would do is we would go to Balvone Avenue and we would go pick up the clothes. So one day, Vinny would take the odd floors, I would take the even floors. But one day he gave me the whole building. So I did the whole building, I came down with a sack of clothes, and I found him, John, and Dominic all eating pizza in the car. And me, I wanted to do all the work. And then another time, Dominic gave me a call around 7:30 in the morning, and he said, could you come by the cleaners tomorrow at 7:30? And I said, sure. And I came by, and he says, listen, don't let anybody into the store. And I noticed there was a large curtain behind the desk. And I looked behind the desk, and it looked like Joseph A. Banks, buy one, get 4 free. There was all these clothes back there. I said, well, what? For the first time, the place actually looked like a cleaner's, because we never did the clothes there. But who was back there? It was John and Vinny, all picking through the clothes. And that's right. With the gabardine pants and all that kind of stuff. Just do it later. I have... Okay, I'll make this short, but our lifespan was over a long period of time. Now, Pat also mentioned the Black Spades. There was one time, there was June 4th, 1971 was Get Writing Day. And that's when the Black Spades would come through the projects. And we were waiting for this for about a week, and then we noticed all the Black Spades were coming down the block, so I had went across the street with a friend of mine, Lou, to go on my side of the block as the Black Spades were coming down. And you talk about timing. As they were coming up, Vinny was coming out of the building with his Uncle Richie. And his Uncle Richie was in a wheelchair. And Vinny walked to the front, all the Black Spades saw him, and we were just shouting out, Vinny, run, run. So he ran. Now he left his uncle there. But and his uncle was in the wheelchair, and then Vinny ran into the building with us. But the thing was, everybody knew that Vinny had an older brother named John. So John had a lot of street cred down there, and so his uncle, nobody had harmed his uncle. His brother John was actually a character. He would sit in the parking lot, and John would drive in, and his Cadillac, pulled up, and we would go to his car, and we would say, hey, Johnny, what's going on? And he would say, what are you hoodlums up to tonight? I said, we're just hanging out. What are you doing? Yeah, what are you doing? What are you doing? And he had this girl in the car, and I said, what are you guys doing tonight? And he said, no, we're just going to go cross some problems. And he wound up pulling out a 38 out of his underneath the seat. And we were all like, that was junk. So nobody knew to really kind of mess with Vinny or John or anybody like that. And just to give you an idea about his brother John, because now we have to go to it upstate, we were at a campfire outside my bungalow one night. And a couple of kids from Co-op City had come over and joined us. And John, me, and Vinny, What's that? Was it frogs night? Okay. So they were interjecting into the party that we were sitting outside, and Dominic's mother and father had joined us, my cousin Dominic, and my uncle Nicky had gone inside with my aunt Louise, and we were sitting around, and these guys would not leave this area. And then, so John had said, I think it's about time you leave. And they said, don't tell us we leave when we want to leave. Now, you knew when John was getting mad when his eyebrows met. He had that look on his face, and you said, here it comes. And he just reached in, I don't know if you remember, he reached into the fire and started beating these guys. All the embers were flying, and they had left, and that was his village. So anyway, we had plenty of good times upstate, and like I said, I'll keep this short. Vinny and I, just one last thing. I remember I was at Vinnie's house up in New Rochelle, and his mother had come out. This was about 11 o'clock at night, and my mother was on the phone and said, John, your mother needs to speak to you, and you have to come and get this call. So I went down, and my mother had said, your sister Gay left her key in the car, and she can't get in. Could you go bring her the new set of keys? I said, Mom, she's in the Hamptons. This was 11 o'clock on a Sunday night. Remember that night? I said, do you want to take a trip? And we drove all the way out to the Hamptons. I got a ticket, right? Remember that? I had no oil in the car. And then we went out to the Hamptons, and we found all of these bottles on the floor. I was looking for my sister. And then she was playing cards on the inside, and she was fine. But I want to thank Vinnie for doing that. I mean, we were very, very good friends. So anyway, just in closing, Vinnie and I have traveled many different roads together. He's one of my dear friends, and as they say, you can count on your friends on one hand. And if you hold up the fingers, Vinnie, I love you, and you do have a small group of friends, not a crazy. And thank you all for listening.
Thanks for not telling the fish story.
No, I think I'm moving the crowd anyway. Thank you.